Hello, my name is Carley and this is just going to be a quick video on the products and materials that I've used for my forthcoming workshop called Misty Meadows. So this is the canvas that we'll be creating. You can see that I've made mine on a box frame canvas, but it's up to you what substrate you would prefer to use. So that's giving you a real nice detailed view there, and you can see there's loads of different layers within this canvas. So as I say, substrate is going to be up to you. You could go for a canvas board, so you can see that that is just flat. That's going to be easier to stamp on for you. Of course, you could make it into a card, onto grey board, in a journal. Choice is absolutely yours, and this is what I originally created mine on. So the only thing with these is that they do have a hole. So if you're going to use a canvas, then what I tend to do, I use a block of wood and I just pop that in so that when I'm stamping, I've got something firm to actually stamp onto. Mine is 8 by 8, but feel free to go with whatever size you'd like to create yours onto. The stamp set that I've used is from my June 2021 release. This is EKC48, and I've used this stamp here and this little one up here from that stamp set. The stencil that I've used actually matches EKC47, not this stamp set, but I've used this in a different way. So this is the one that I've used on my canvas. I've used these little grass elements here. I've also used this element here, which is to match a flower on EKC47, but I've used that to create some background flowers. And I've also used this one and this one, again, to create some background flowers on my canvas. The other sort of main materials that you're going to need, if you want raised flowers, then you're going to need something like this, which is a matte medium. So this is a gel matte medium by Golden. If I would just quickly bring my canvas back in, you may not be able to see, but these little flowers are actually very slightly raised, and that's what helps stand them out from the background there. So that's how I've achieved that, by mixing my paint with that matte medium. Now, Fresco paints, they're always my paints of choice. They're a fast drying chalk acrylic, and I've used quite a few different colours. So the purples that I've used are these here. So we've got Periwinkle, Mauve, Pansy and Purple Rain. If I hold them up separately, so Periwinkle, Mauve, Pansy and Purple Rain. But of course, feel free to go with any colours of your choice. You don't need to use all the colours that I've chosen to use on mine. I've also got Snowflake, Concrete, Elephant, so they're sort of my neutral colours, the whites and greys there, or white and greys. And then I've used 2 greens and a yellow. So Haystack is for the actual daisy centres, and then I've got Zucchini and Wintergreen there as my greens. The other main thing is an ink pad. So you're definitely going to need an ink pad to do some stamping with. I've chosen Archival ink. It dries really quickly on the chalk acrylic, so that's always my ink pad of choice. And you can see I've gone for watering can, which is a dark grey. It's a bit softer than black. But if you haven't got watering can, then you probably could get away with black, because we're going to be going over that imagery anyway and sort of blotting out a lot of the actual stamp. Your stamp is going to be a guide in this case. Acrylic blocks. So I've got one here for the size of the stamp that I'll be using. It's going to be important that it flexes. So you can see that there, it's flexed. So it means it won't crack. That is only important if you are working onto this type of canvas. So the one that has a frame to it rather than just the canvas board, because this dips down in here. So you're going to need to be able to press your stamp down into that groove. So I always use a flexi block for that. If you haven't got one, then you could just ink the stamp in your hand and place it down, but it's a little bit hard, a little bit more tricky to do that. Then I've just got a small block that I'll use for my actual daisy head. The pencils that I've used on the canvas are polychromos. So these are an oil-based pencil, but a wax-based pencil would be absolutely fine as well. I've got, you can see there, I've got a light green, an olive green, which is this one here. So olive green, this one, let me just see if I can see what these are. So I've got earth green yellowish, olive green yellowish, and a coal grey, which is number 6. So pencils would be good. Then I've got some different sized paintbrushes. Let me just find my other one here. So I've got, these are all round. I've got a number 8, a number 2, and this one in the middle there is a 0. So number 8 is going to be for my background, 2 for my painting, and 0 for my detail work there. I've also got a sponge wedge. This is just what I use to apply my background paint with. So just cheap and cheerful sponge wedge there. If you haven't got, then of course you can just use a paintbrush if you want to. I just prefer a sponge wedge. I like to be able to spread my paint out with that. And then I've got lots of little stencil brushes. You are going to want a good assortment of little stencil brushes. So I've got that type there. All of mine are domed, or nearly all of them. This little fellow isn't. Probably won't actually use that one. And then I've got smaller still here. So I tend to use quite a few stencil brushes just so that I can keep one for each colour of paint that I'm using. I prefer domed, especially for this, because it's going to enable you to sort of feather out with it. If you can't get domed, then what you can do is just, if you've got a straight one, just snip around the edge there, sort of take that edge off, and that works quite well. But if you can, sort of proper domed ones are a bit better, or at least I find that they're a bit better than trying to sort of fashion your own. Then I've got a kebab stick here. This is what I use just to be able to mix my gel matte medium with the Fresco paints. So as you can see, it's a little bit gungy, but it does the job quite well. So you just want something that you can mix the paint with into that matte medium if you're going to be using the matte medium itself. Apart from that, I think that's about all, apart from general crafting materials. So sort of clean up stuff like baby wipes, kitchen towel, obviously going to need a pot of water. Heat gun I tend to use for drying in between my layers. Something to craft on that's going to protect your work surface. And the palette that I use is just a piece of tin foil to put my paints onto. So the workshop is happening on Saturday the 10th of July at 10 AM UK time. The price is £15. You can book for it over on my Crafting with Carley Facebook page. You'll find all the details there as well. I'll pop a link in the description box, and the video will actually be saved into a closed Facebook group, so it will be available to watch after that time and date as well on replay. Okay, thanks very much for joining me. Bye.